Hi friends! There is a common belief among pianists that developing good technique requires hours of scales, exercises, and arpeggios every single day. But let me tell you, the warm-up routine I'll show you today can replace long technical sessions, and it works for everyone, beginners, returning pianists, and advanced players. My students and I use it every day, and the results are real. I'm a professional pianist, but I've never believed in practicing technique for its own sake. Technique isn't about showing off, it's a tool for expression, for color, character, and emotion, and for bringing the composer's ideas to life. During my studies in two conservatories with wonderful professors, no one ever told me that popular online idea that you need that long, exhausting technical sessions to make real progress, even at professional level. So let me state this with complete confidence. A short, focused warm-up can do far more for your technique than hours of mindless repetition. Once your hands, arms, and body understand what they are doing, your technique begins to build itself, and you stop fighting the instrument and finally start making music. So today I'll show you the exact 10 minutes routine I've used for years. A small but essential puzzle piece that supports all your future technique. It brings together scales, chords, arpeggios, chromatic scales. If that sounds helpful, make sure to subscribe. Because on this channel, you will always find clear, practical guidance to keep you motivated and connected to the music you love. All right, let's begin. I always start my 10-minute routine with scales. I already have a full detailed guide on how to play scales correctly, the technique, the movement, the sound, so I won't repeat all that here. If you haven't seen it yet, please check it out. It's truly comprehensive and you will find everything that might have been holding you back from playing scales efficiently. So they actually benefit you in just 5 minutes a day. I play my scales in the following order. First, I play the scale in octaves. I go all the way up to the keyboard and all the way back down. After that, I play the same scale in contrary motion. That means I play 2 octaves till the middle. And then contrary motion starts. Then I go up, back to the middle. Again, contrary motion. And finally, going the way down. So the motion would be 2 octaves till the middle, contrary motions, back, up till the middle, again contrary motion, and back. After that, I move to thirds, up the keyboard and back down. And then in contrary motion. Then comes the same scale in tenths, up and down, and contrary motion again. And so on. And if you ever feel that you'd like to work on your technique in more personal and focused way, I also offer one-on-one consultations online. This is honestly one of my favorites kind of work because I love analyzing each player's unique technical challenges and helping them find clear and practical solutions. If that's something what you might be interested in, You will find the link in the description below. And finally, I play the scale in the interval of 6, up and down to the keyboard again, and then in contrary motion. After each scale, I would play the chords in the same key in the white position. That means my first and fifth finger are an octave apart. I simply take the chord up the keyboard and back down. I would play like that. Next, I play the arpeggios. The regular arpeggios, built the same way as the chords, just played one note at a time instead of all together. So not all together, but the next chord. The next chord. It sounds like that. And after that, I play the broken arpeggios. This is the pattern where the order of the notes is reversed inside the arpeggios. So you play the first note, then the third one, the second one, and the fourth. Instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, you play 1, 3, 2, 4, 1, 3, 2, 4, 1, 3, 2, 4, and so on. At the very end, you play like this. At the end of the exercise, you play so. And I do this in every key I choose for the day. So after finishing my E major scale, I play the E major chords, E major arpeggio, and E major broken arpeggio. A very important point about arpeggio technique. I already have a full detailed lesson on 11 arpeggio pattern. It's a technique that's very popular in Eastern European piano tradition. In that video, I explain how you can play the 11 arpeggios in just 2 minutes and how incredibly effective they are for eliminating almost every common arpeggio problem. The arpeggios I'm playing here are the more traditional and classic ones. And with this, the most important thing is the hand movement. My wrist stays completely free, and it makes a small circular motion for every arpeggio pattern. So, for each individual arpeggio, for example, this one, my wrists make a downward rounded motion. So I go down here, almost like a drawing a little semicircle. Down. And on the way up, the wrist rises naturally on its own. So don't pull your wrist up. Only focus on this downward motion. Down goes naturally up. Again, down. Of course, this is that tiny motion. So you can't do, especially in black keys, you can't do much down because else you will make a mistake. But this motion is recognizable. That's the technical foundation that makes the arpeggios work smoothly. The same technique I use for the broken arpeggios. Again, down. For its own, it goes up. The last thing I play is the chromatic scale, and the fingering I use for that scale is 1, 2, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 3, 1, 2, 3. And in the left hand, the same. The second fingering option is designed for building speed. It goes like this: 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you are minimizing how often the thumb is used. With this kind of fingering, you can naturally achieve a higher speed. Choose the fingering based on your goal. But if your goal is speed, then go for a second option, and you'll be able to play your chromatic scales faster than anyone. Another important point about chromatic scales in the finger positioning. Your fingers should move toward each other. The white keys should be played closer to the black keys, not here, but here, not here, but here. And the black keys should be played closer to the white ones. So your fingers naturally form a rounded, closed-in shape like that. And about pianists like Horowitz, Glenn Gould, and others who played with the very flat fingers, why did they do that? And why does it work so brilliantly for them while it doesn't necessarily work for the rest of us? Here is the short answer. Just like visual artists who first learn classical academic drawing before moving to the abstract, avant-garde, expressionism, and pointillism styles, great pianists also master the classical foundation first. They develop the strength, coordination, and control in the hand before experimenting with wider positions or flatter fingers. We need the same classical base. You have to build the necessary muscle strength and the healthy hand positions first, so that later, when you stretch or wide intervals or use a flatter, more spread out touch, everything still sounds good and your hands stay safe. The classical piano technique will never harm you, trust my experience. On the contrary, it's that enables you to play freely and beautifully. I already mentioned this in my Scales in 5 minutes video. All your finger joints need to stay rounded. They should never collapse. So never like that, but all of them are rounded. You want to clearly see all the joints, all 3 of them. 1, 2, 3 on every single finger. And the fingers I want you to watch especially closely are the 4th and the 5th, because they tend to fall inwards more easily. They are the weakest ones. If it happens to you, you need to be very mindful with the tempo. Slow down, stay aware of the hand, and in some cases, it even helps to add a little weight of your whole arm into the weaker fingers as an exercise. So in case of arpeggios, if I would see that my 5th finger collapses, you see? Yes. That happens to me as well when I haven't practiced for a while. I simply focus on it. I look at it, feel it, listen, and stay with that feeling until the joint becomes stable again. So usually after about a week of consistent attention and slow tempo work, the finger gets stronger and the joint becomes visible. About the chords technique, there is a little trick one of my professors at the conservatory here in Vienna once shared with me, and it completely changed the way my chords sound. Imagine that your 5th finger extends all the way to your elbow, as if the finger was that long. The moment you imagine this, the correct support appears almost automatically. And the right muscles activate on their own, both in the left hand and in the right hand when you play chords. So you have elongated 5th fingers, and the 5th fingers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 This creates that rich, full-bodied chord sound that we all love in classical music. And the same idea applies to octaves as well. I don't play octaves in my warm-up routine, but the same here. You play octaves with that same long fifth finger feeling. By the way, if you'd like me to record a full tutorial on octaves, let me know in the comments. I'll be happy to make one. So today I'll show you my essential warm-up practice routine and the core technical principles behind it. The tools that can really help you to build stable, reliable technique in just 5, 10 or 15 minutes a day. There are no magic shortcuts in piano playing, of course. But when you invest even a short amount of time with real attention and intention, every minute begins to work for you. It's always better to practice with focus for 10 minutes than to sit at the piano for an hour without understanding what you are actually doing and then wonder why the problems remain. So stay mindful, stay curious, and keep moving forward. If this resonated with you, feel free to subscribe. We already have a warm, thoughtful community here of people who love the piano deeply. And your comments are always welcome. I read all of them. And I truly enjoy responding and getting to know your stories. And if you'd like to support the channel, the simplest way is to leave a like. It helps the videos to reach more people, and it means a lot to me as a way to saying thank you. So see you in the next video and happy practicing.